What's up, Reject Nation? We are going to watch today from new Rockstars, the What If finale Easter eggs and breakdown. Of course, as usual, very much looking forward to this. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. I want to thank new Rockstars for encouraging our reactions to their hard work. Always bringing appreciation to every single episode of pretty much anything that we cover from them. Been a good journey, but can't end season 1 without checking out this one first. You know how we do. If you end up enjoying our video, hit that like button or the dislike. Doesn't matter, just a vote.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Marvel's What If Episode 9, What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? A season finale that assembles the Guardians of the Multiverse to avenge Vegas?
Viva Las Vegas!
As always, this episode was filled with interesting details and connections to the live-action MCU with major implications for the multiverse going forward, so I'm going to break it all down frame by frame for everything that you might have missed.
Say major implications for the multiverse going forward. We thought that would be what Loki is doing, and we haven't seen any of that really have an effect just yet. We've gotten Shang-Chi, we've gotten even this, which doesn't acknowledge the events of there.
No TVA, no nothing.
Yeah, I hope the events of here have major implications for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We open with Captain Carter after her jump to the present era in episode 1, following in the footsteps of Steve Rogers in the Lumerian Star mission from the opening of Captain America Winter Soldier. Peggy now wears the blue and white stealth suit that Steve wore, but with a Union Jack pattern across the chest instead, and Natasha has a shorter haircut that she had in that film. Their target is once again Batroc, except before it was Rumlow briefing everyone.
How many pirates?
25. Top mercs led by this guy, George Batroc.
Peggy leads this briefing.
How many pirates?
20 or so charmers, led by this one.
Woke culture ruining
We
everything.
later learned that Nick
Girl
Fury actually
power.
hired Batroc to hijack the Lumerian Star because he was suspicious of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s true intentions for Project Insight, and he secretly ordered Natasha to steal data from those computers.
You know, I'm getting a little tired of being Fury's janitor.
Relax, it's not that complicated.
So now Peggy leading the briefing suggests that this is her mission, not Fury's operation, which might be why the cargo is different from Project Insight related stuff. As we learn in the post-credit scene, her Steve Rogers' old Hydra Stomper armor with someone inside, and you can see biometrics over on the left, so that someone is alive. But assuming S.H.I.E.L.D. was still being corrupted by Hydra at this point, this Hydra Stomper could have been part of Hydra's Winter Soldier program, since if you think about it, Steve did kind of take Bucky's place back in episode 1, and it would be one way of explaining how Steve survived this long. Setting up poor Peggy in this awkward conflict now with Steve Rogers in a kind of iron lung, brainwashed by Hydra.
Sound theory, but what I really love that you pointed out was the vitals showing that there is someone alive in there, presumably Steve Rogers. 99.999% likely Steve Rogers, because I did see some debate going around of, are we sure Steve Rogers is actually alive? What if there's just a corpse inside of there? So that right there is evidence that yes, indeed, he is alive. So good work once again, Voss. Check.
Now we hear the variant Captain Carter theme from episode 1.
Gentlemen, watch our 6.
Strike team, you heard the captain. Gear up.
This episode is actually great with musical leitmotifs, including a piano rendition of Steve's theme.
And there's someone inside.
Aww. The Guardians theme.
Stay here. Leave this fight to us.
Killmonger's theme. Doctor Strange's theme. And the Avengers theme.
And the Fred's theme song.
Just as Natasha tried to hook up Steve with Kristen from Statistics, Natasha does the same with Peggy.
You know, Bernard in accounting was asking about you.
Nothing good has ever followed the phrase Bernard in accounting.
Poor Bernard. Accountants make great partners, Peggy.
Nothing good has ever followed the phrase Bernard in accounting.
No. Especially if Bernard is Adam Bernard Brashear Blue Marble, because if so, you gotta get on that. But Natasha says,
What if his name was Steve? Ouch! That's why we were becoming pals, widow.
yeah, Peggy is still sore over never getting that dance with Steve Rogers, which she brings up again when she tells Batroc she's a pretty good dancer. And when Peggy catches her shield, it kicks off a little puff of vapor slicing through the night air. And in this thick sea layer, with eyes gleaming to match the bright full moon, is the Watcher.
Captain Carter, the soldier lost in time. You have been chosen.
So yes, the Watcher is recruiting a dream team to save the multiverse. That comes from What If number 39, What If the Watcher Saved the Universe, in which he forms a team consisting of Thor, an android Iron Man, Dr. Doom from the Fantastic Five, and Vampire Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, that just made me realize that by the time What If Season 2 comes around, they have the mutants, but they haven't brought them forth yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. By the time What If Season 2 comes around, they might actually be able to toy around with Dr. Doom, Fantastic Four, the mutants. My goodness, there's so much awaiting us. An alternate version of White Blade. We got so much coming our way.
That's what I want. We need a White Blade. I've been saying it for years now.
And from this, we kaleidoscope wipe over to the Dairy Queen in Missouri from episode 2, as well as the Guardians Volume 2 film. And here we see Ego linking with Peter Quill to form the expansion from that film. But T'Challa's ship, the Mandela, actually leads the other Ravagers ship in the strike. And Ego says,
Relax, son. It'll all be over in 1,000 years or so.
just a reminder of Ego's plan in that film to use Quill as a 1,000-year battery.
I wanted to do this together. But I suppose you'll have to learn by spending the next 1,000 years as a battery.
And then on to Naval
Carusser,
Lear.
so cool.
Of course, the weapons forgery from Infinity
Makes me
War.
want to
where
revisit
Gamora
Guardians
is
2.
carrying Thanos' double-bladed sword and wears the armor that she wore in 2014 in Endgame, as well as Idris
Lost
and
episode.
Tony Stark in the Hulkbuster armor with Sakaar decor. The three of them melting the Infinity Gauntlet. I really wanted it to do a T2 thumbs up on the way home. But apparently this is the
that would have been so
episode that was
perfect.
delayed to season 2, which would have shown Gamora killing Thanos on Sakaar. They say it was delayed because of COVID. I call bullshit. Producing animation remotely, it's not like trying to do live action remotely. They totally could have got it done. There was some plot reason that they delayed it, I'm telling you. I think this plot would have involved Tony Stark in Age of Ultron Hulkbuster armor, taking Hulk's place on the Quinjet to Sakaar, and maybe Thanos sacrificing Nebula on Vormir instead of Gamora so that Peter Quill didn't stupidly break his trance, and they could have stopped Thanos earlier. Another possibility is that Stark could have gotten stuck on the other side of that wormhole in the first Avengers film when he nukes Thanos' forces, and then maybe got stranded on Sakaar and had to build that Hulkbuster armor from scratch in a dump with a pile of scraps.
First off, it would be so cool if any of those plot lines that you just pitched were the ones that come true by the time we see it in season 2. But I've heard about that with animation. It's like we've seen that with anime so much of the time too. A lot of the times the dubs are not completed because of what's happened with COVID.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly unheard of. I don't exactly know why that's the case, but it would make sense that they would have the episode in season 1 considering this is the team up of all the characters coming together in the finale. So I don't see what other alternate reason there would be for not featuring it in season 1 when they've said we pushed it to season 2 specifically, because I'm like, I feel like the excitement of it is kind of undercut knowing the outcome.
Yeah, I
of the
feel
episode.
like it's weird. I actually kind of buy the COVID thing because unless they have some grand plan as to why this story needs to move, it does feel weird to put it out of sync with this ultimate team up that it would have been nice to have some context for Gamora's involvement in. Yeah.
Now notice Idris still has his hands, whereas in the main MCU continuity, Thanos cut off his hands right after he forced that
good
gauntlet that they're
catch.
currently
Good
melting
catch,
and
man.
caused Stumps and Uru. So something changed. Maybe they used a reality stone to bring his hands back before pulverizing the stones with the Infinity Crusher, or the animators didn't give a shit. Now Tony's armor has some upgrades, including some huge discs on the shoulders. Maybe these are the
That's why the
sonic
episode
cannons
got
from
pushed
these
back.
designs that were used to subdue Hulk in the 2008 film, and were actually later added to his drones in Spider-Man Far From Home. Also, there are 3 claws on each fist. Did Tony run into Wolverine? Is that why this episode was delayed to season 2? Oh my god.
Oh crap!
Oh, wait.
Wait a minute.
Your theory is correct.
maybe you're right.
Because if there's if there's a Wolverine appearance, then yes, I get why they would absolutely want to save
And they
that.
do have the gladiator matches there.
Yeah. So maybe he faced off with Wolverine and then was like, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to scrap some claws onto my Hulkbuster.
Which would then make watching this episode exciting and worthwhile, even though we know the end result, it would make it worthwhile when you're looking at the promos like, oh my god, a Wolverine versus Iron Man.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, in the anthology world, it'd still be thrilling to see Gamora take out Thanos anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But this would have been the one episode this season to spare Tony Stark's life, and here he says,
How do we put a suit of armor
around the world. Around the galaxy. You can't tell me there's not another big bad lurking in the shadows, monster under the bed.
Always with that suit of armor. It's like his only metaphor. Now, Gamora sees this big bad as the Watcher reflected in Tony's Sicarian plating, but I think this line was added to redirect this delayed episode as one setting up the season 1 finale to instead one connected to season 2 and whatever season 2's new multiversal big bad will be. Now, while Kang seems like a good bet, I think the other Watchers with whom Uatu made his oath and now broke that oath, coming to seek accountability, could also be the possible new big bad. Shuri and Pepper lead the Dora Milaje against Killmonger from episode 6, Pepper wielding that gun that looks like the one based on the Asgardian destroyer armor that Coulson wielded in the first Avengers film, and Shuri wielding her vibranium gauntlets from Black Panther, weaponizing those alongside a refusal to get vaccinated. The Watcher recruits Killmonger.
Eric Stevens.
No, Shuri,
Yeah, the Watcher's eyes narrow on Killer, showing that the Watcher probably knows he cannot trust Killmonger, and it is Killmonger's traitorous behavior that is why the Watcher probably needs him on his team. Now, in Vegas, Thor wrestles Ultron sentries following Ultron's arrival in episode 7.
Nobody messes with Vegas.
Yeah, I like how the frame initially pans over to just show part of the Watcher in the sky, as opposed to clear, decisive reveal shots for all the other recruits. Just shows how party Thor is super distracted. So the Watcher reaches down to grab him like a toy. Yeah, he's still screaming all the way to his new location, just as he does in Ragnarok in the Grandmaster's Palace. But more importantly, he continues to clutch that severed Ultron sentry head, which Killmonger later uses. So you could argue catching Thor off guard just like this was also part of the Watcher's master plan.
Probably.
He needed that head in Killmonger's hand.
I mean, I think it all is part of the plan. Doesn't Doctor Strange say in the ending moments that like everything went exactly according to how you foresaw that it would go?
Yeah, I mean, he does try to get his attention, but I feel like, yeah, the Watcher knows all and experiences everything at all moments, so it probably is part of his plan ultimately.
I mean, it's a little mathematical about it.
And I mean, you know, you have to kind of count on a lot of happenstance. What's happenstance to a Watcher?
Well, it seems like this incident took him by surprise, everything that happened with Ultron, and then he had to go against how he saw the timelines playing out and then assemble this team. Is there some theoretical aspect to the Watcher where he can like kind of play with some chess pieces, foresee how this would go too if he were to implement and move stuff around? Or is he just strictly watching? Or can he actually pull strings? Because it sounded like he could pull strings in this episode.
It would seem as though maybe he can see a couple steps ahead of every decision or something like that.
They're transported to the same pub that Peggy and Steve got a drink in episode 1. Thor orders a beer from Doctor Strange, just like he gets one from him in Ragnarok, and then he chugs and smashes it just as he does pretty much every drink in his hand.
Another!
The Watcher explains,
At first, I scoured eternity for one true hero. Then I saw the bigger picture. This mission requires a team, the perfect combination of skills and experience that alone will triumph.
So the Watcher needs more than just one or even 1,000 cosmically powerful warriors. Really, he needs a specific ragtag group of underdogs that Ultron would underestimate, but also one of whom would betray the rest and allow the stones to be sequestered. So this isn't a true dream team, it's really a band of misfits, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why he calls them.
You are
the Guardians of the Multiverse.
So when Thor tries to leave, outside the bar is this swirling storm, the pub exterior made up of Doctor Strange's eldritch magic and a clockwork grid. I love the production design here. It kind of looks like Strange hid them in a dimension between realities, like the surreal zones that he zipped through in the Doctor Strange film, same imagery used in the No Way Home trailer. The golden color palette does match the portal through which Wanda Maximoff saw her future Scarlet Witch self. I just think this may be the same kind of setting that Multiverse of Madness takes place in. Familiar fragments of broken realities reconstructed amidst a chaotic hellstorm. Doctor Strange explains.
Very cool. Very cool.
Power, each controlling an essential aspect of our existence.
Yes, this is the same lecture that Wong explains to Stark in Infinity War.
Big bangs and 6 elemental crystals. These Infinity Stones each control an essential aspect of existence.
As they discuss the mission, Killmonger is almost always staring at the Ultron sentry head. Now, this head is probably made of vibranium, as all the final form Ultrons were, which is the same as Killmonger's suit, which that hum that we heard earlier indicated.
Why did you bring us here? What do you want with us?
All good questions.
They order Chinese takeout, just like the Avengers do when brainstorming the time heist in Endgame, and Gamora presents the Infinity Crusher, a device of Nidavelirian design with gears like a rock grinder.
The
The Infinity Crusher, designed to disintegrate each stone into nothing.
Now, Infinity Stones, according to Endgame directors, cannot be fully destroyed, since Infinity Stones are needed to maintain a universe's proper flow of time, but they can be atomized and prevented from actual use. That's likely what this crusher does. Thor says,
Slow down a little bit. There's a few people in the room that don't understand. Not me, I get it, but for them, maybe repeat it.
You're ready.
Yeah, the Watcher decides they're ready in spite of Thor's dumb statement here. This shows that he's actually counting on Thor Leroy Jenkinson into this mission to lure Thanos into underestimating the whole
Exactly,
team.
yeah.
Strange forms protection spells for each of them, and I like how each has a different pattern. Like there's a 5-pointed star, a 6-pointed one, some suns. I assume each using mysticism from a different tradition. And actually later we see the 5-pointed stars for Captain Carter, as if her protection is linked with Steve Rogers. Both T'Challa and Killmonger have the sun pattern, maybe a nod to their African roots.
Oh, how
It's a
neat.
series of squares and a kind of Norse runic pattern. And Gamora gets the interlaid triangles with nodes around the circumference, evoking an alien Sicarian design.
Cool.
This is what I'm talking about. This already right here, only halfway through this breakdown, and already I'm like, wow, this episode's better than I realized it was.
So much attention to detail, so many character moments.
I just wish What If had like 10 to 15 extra more minutes in order to let some of their episodes breathe a little bit better, bring out some more emotional moments out of things to really have it be felt. Because yeah, like even looking at the foreshadowing of Eric Killmonger looking at the vibranium helmet, that obviously is him realizing that there's more capability of weaponizing the vibranium than he even realized. And it's something that kind of flew over my head in the immediate moment of it because it was going by so quick. But yeah, when you slow it down here, I'm like, wow, that is true. That is the moment he's going, wow, look at the capabilities of what we can do. Even right here to the protection spells and the attention to detail on it, because all those symbols are like, whoop, nope, didn't notice any of that.
Season 2, I want an episode with no dialogue, just so that it's all visual animation appreciation. Yeah.
And then the spells coat them like armor, giving Thor a winged crown, Killmonger and Gamora shoulder armor, and T'Challa in a crown and an extra layer on his necklace, as he is the rightful king of Wakanda. And Peggy has some chunky medieval looking armor for her English roots. Strange's squid demon from episode 4 emerges from his hand. Peggy, who later stares down this beast in the final battle, recognizes this anatomy as some that she fought in episode 1.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Can I ask what happened?
Same thing that happened to you.
Strange gives a toast.
A wise sorcerer once told me that to face death is part of the plan. To face death is to conquer one's greatest fear of the unknown, of nothingless space.
Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to quote the Ancient One's death speech.
Death is what gives life meaning. To know your days are numbered, your time is short.
Ultron finds them first as a giant face in the sky, as the Watcher usually does, but way bigger, and he arrives through an interdimensional portal with that crystalline texture, showing his mastery now over the multiverse, as on par with the Watcher. Now, Ultron uses a fun combination of the Soul, Reality, and Power Stones, but not the Space Stone, to crumble the mountain that they're standing on. I suppose the Soul Stone in this case to isolate which souls under which the ground to warp the reality of, and the Power Stone to give it all an oomph. The Soul Stone is always a weird one to judge the functionality of. We really just saw it when Thanos used it to isolate which Strange was the real one in the Wizard Duel Infinity War. Actually, Strange uses that same Images of Icon spell to duplicate Mjolnir and swarm them around Ultron. Strange magics up Peggy's shield to create a Mjolnir plus shield shockwave, and then she hitches a ride back with one of the Mjolnirs the way Spider-Man did in Endgame. T'Challa grabs Ultron and gets thrown off. You can actually see the moment that he snatches the Soul Stone, and it's pretty impressive because he does it with the hand that he's holding the blaster with. Strange then unleashes 3 demon dragons. We actually saw him absorb 2 of these in episode 4, which I thought was redundant animation at the time, but nope, 3 dragon heads are better than 1. Strange opens a portal from the zombie universe. The first ones to fall on Ultron are Zombie Cap, Zombie Falcon, and Zombie Hawkeye. Zombie Cap was split down the middle of his body, I guess, just don't think about it. Thousands more pour out and pile up, but worst among them is Zombie Wanda Maximoff, who should have the power to break an Infinity Stone like she did the Mind Stone in Vision's head in Infinity War, but she softens briefly. Maybe because she recognizes this red synthezoid face as that of her love Vision, but Ultron uses this hesitancy to blow up the freaking planet.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense now. Yeah, I didn't even really criticize it. I was just like, she's a zombie. She don't really know what she's doing.
What now? But yeah, it's that Romero thing of like the echoes of her past life were still in there.
What was that zombie call in Day of the Dead?
Dang. It's not Boomer. He's got a name.
Ed Franklin?
Is it Ed? We're such good movie fans. I know it, and I can't draw it to mind.
I guess what I'm saying, the breakdowns really help me appreciate this show that much more, is because it's animated and because they're so short, that they do feel like a comic book in the sense of how you could sort of feel the thought bubbles of what these characters are having, like with Wanda Maximoff in that moment, but without hearing it, you know, but the thought bubbles are happening. You're just not hearing the language that's going on in their heads.
Yeah, you get the motion to fill in the blank, but yeah, I get exactly, because they do really read that way.
And the observant John and Greg never even think twice about what they might be thinking. We just go, lack of writing.
No, you lazy writers. Lazy writers.
Rushed episode.
Rush the animation, lazy writing.
And as they exit through the portal, Thor does a backwards jump, just like Peter Quill did in Infinity War, and they return to Ultron's home reality on post-apocalyptic Earth to crush the stone. From the signs, this actually looks like Tokyo. Peggy needs to prove to Natasha that she knows her.
Your father is Ivan, your Dar's Alexei, and you're the one woman I trust to have my 6.
She uses Red Skull's genealogy from Endgame, daughter of Ivan, but it's interesting that Peggy would know that because Natasha did not know it. But then yes, of course, her Da being Alexei, a nod to Alexei Shostakov, her fake dad of the KGB from Black Widow.
I think one thing that this episode in particular did really well, especially at the offset of it, and this is something we didn't touch on, you could really feel the history and kinship that has formed between Peggy and Natasha. You know, it's one of the fun things about swapping out Captain America with Captain Carter. Yes, Captain America has a very specific type of friendship with Natasha. This one feels like they really are best friends. Yeah. And I think that's something that this episode, even in the small little doses you got, it did capture really well.
So woke.
Ultron flips out.
Why won't you die?
That's a reference to Toad from X-Men.
Wait, what?
Yeah, good question. Well, it's because Strange still has the power of the Time Stone, as we see later in this battle, meaning that he could rewind Ultron's explosion the way Thanos rewinded Wanda blowing up the Mind Stone, and then consume the Boom Boom, the way he did all of those demons. Peggy says,
"Give him all you've got. Don't give him a chance to think."
Which also tells us a bit about their strategy, right? It's not about beating Ultron head to head, it's about overwhelming him so that he cannot process his next move. And like the Avengers dogpiling on Thanos on Titan, we get this awesome long take of each of them landing their blows on Ultron, followed by another long take, but just on the close-up of the Soul Stone, for 11 seconds as people fight over it. I love using the Soul Stone as a synecdoche for all of their souls. The Watcher's soul, the soul of the multiverse. This is the stone that we've seen the least of in the MCU, representing the whole of it in this battle. Ultron uses the Time Stone to suspend them all in slow motion while he reclaims the Soul Stone, but Strange uses his own Time Stone to neutralize this spell. This is the first time we have seen one Infinity Stone used against a variant universe Infinity Stone, so by this logic, duplicate stones do retain their power even when they share a universe. But so far, I guess when one is used against the other, it just cancels each other out. Ultron grows big, and Strange allows those demons inside of him to take over, which the artists show with this amazing effect. Probably my favorite shot of the episode. The energy splitting the frame into different states of being for Strange. One layer showing Strange, the layer underneath showing his demonic form. It's just a really tactile expression of Strange painfully ripping himself apart to do this. They pin Ultron and use the Infinity Crusher, but
Every universe is different, each one just a fraction unique.
The Crusher was designed to destroy the stones on my world, not his.
Yes, of course, the framing matches the Avengers circle up shot in the first Avengers film, and here this episode establishes yet another bit of Infinity Stone rulemaking.
I feel like they really are building up Doctor Strange to be the head of the MCU. The way how Iron Man was essentially the main face of the MCU, and now that he's gone, I really think they have been slowly catapulting him. And I think that's one thing this show in particular has done remarkably well, is that the biggest character takeaway I think has been, even though it's a different version of Doctor Strange, a lot of the attention and focus goes to Doctor Strange, even right down to Ultron being like, if I take you out, this team sucks. Or this team's done for, you know?
And the earliest elements of serialized storytelling that come into this season are with Doctor Strange and the Watcher as they sort of crest into the final endgame of the season.
While duplicate stones can both function in a shared universe, they can only be destroyed by something from their same home universe. Okay. Natasha uses the arrow with Zola's AI from episode 8, a shot that, if you think about it, she only had because Ultron in this moment is focusing mostly on Strange. It leaves some blind spots. And I think this is, again, part of the Watcher's plan to delay Natasha's ace in her hole to the last minute like this. Peggy uses the arrow to take out one of Ultron's eyes, and in this moment you can see how the Infinity Stones are now glowing somewhat duller after this point, because in Ultron's mind, his Ultron consciousness is battling with the Zola AI, and Zola uses the same kind of snaky neuron bolt attacks that Ultron used to kill Jarvis. And I love how those 8 strands match the 8 tentacles of the Hydra sigil. Ultron is dead, but Killmonger still has that head with Ultron's consciousness left glowing in it, and his vibranium link allows him control of the Reality Stone to assemble his own Killmonger Infinity armor. Aha, that was the Fula Flute, which composer Ludwig Göransson used as Killmonger's unique sound in Black Panther, Peter and the Wolf style, and that riff sounded like a real victorious but also belligerent blow, expressing Killmonger being drunk on power here. But Killmonger Infinity is challenged.
I am afraid that armor belongs to me.
Aha, finally Zola's android form from the comics with his face in the tummy, a design teased as an Easter egg in the first Cap film, coming to life, and they tug of war over the stones with this little rift in space, kind of evoking their Big Bang origin. I like that touch.
I actually thought of, I just didn't want to piss off the audience entirely at the time, but I thought of when Rey and Kylo have that shot in The Last Jedi, when they're dealing with one of the bad ships in the
space. Sith lightning. Yeah. I'm pissed off already.
But Strange realizes
we were never meant to win. We were here to separate the stones from the body.
And so he creates a pocket dimension around them, trapping them both.
You foresaw every moment from the failed Infinity Crusher to Killmonger's betrayal.
He lives in a Russian doll.
Sacrifice.
Yes, one wonders how far back the Watcher's plan went. Was it to his team up with Doctor Strange, or even before that? And with this episode titled, What If the Watcher Broke His Oath, we never really see the consequences of that broken oath. I do plan to explore the Watcher's full plan and his next steps in a video coming soon. They all return to their home realities, but Peggy Carter wants to go back to the 40s.
Haven't I earned my happy ending?
For reasons I assume we will see in Season 2, since Captain Carter is confirmed as a focal character for this whole series, and will likely be linked with the rediscovery of Steve in the Hydra Stomper armor in the post-credit scene. Meanwhile, Black Widow, he allows to join the one episode not referenced thus far in the finale, Episode 3, which ended with Nick Fury teaming up Steve Rogers with Carol Danvers to fight Loki's takeover of Earth. This SHIELD helicarrier is numbered 64, the same number from the first Avengers film, and this could provide one way Natasha Romanoff could ever return in live action, especially now that Scarlett Johansson has wonderfully settled her legal troubles with Disney, thanks to millions of dollars in a payout. And we're left with the Watcher saying,
every story is my home, and I will protect it to the end.
Just like he said to Natasha.
Your stories, they are everything to me.
I love this because, yes, while we have seen the Watcher as a kind of creepy voyeuristic figure, his sudden vulnerability here gives us permission to have emotional attachments to the stories that we watch. Yeah, it's okay to see pieces of ourselves in the wins and losses of our heroes, because why are any of us here if not to stir something inside of each other? And with that, I want to thank you all so much for playing Watcher to this whole season of coverage of Marvel's What If, these breakdowns and our Inside Marvel after shows. It's just been a delight unpacking it all together, trying to keep up with its elusive Infinity Stone logic. And if you want to support us, the best way to do it is by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks again for watching. Bye.
And I'll say that with their merch, I have a lot of shirts. I have a lot of t-shirts. Hands down, their shirts are honestly incredibly comfortable. That's a rare. There's a reason you see me alternate between I have a lot, but I alternate between a few because I really care about I don't like the way it feels on my skin. Their shirts are extremely comfortable, so that's why I look forward to buying whatever they got to offer. Anyway, guys, thank you, New Rockstars, for putting this together. Another fantastic job. You did it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button. Last but not least, let's do a Michael Bublé. Michael, thank you so much for being part of our Patreon page. Not only does Michael B have a great reaction channel, does he not only cover more shows than us, he also has covered all of What If. He covered Squid Game, and he also is probably got a reaction up to this specific Marvel What If breakdown from New Rockstars as well. If you enjoy our video, you made it this far, do yourself a favor, subscribe to Omni Media, because I'm telling you, he's better than John.
Yeah, he is.